Look, I think the topic of this podcast right now is I almost feel like there's pressure to underreact to what's happening because you don't want to seem like a dumb casual fan. You want to go like, oh my God, Jimmy buckets, the Warriors. I have no idea that Steph and Jimmy are actually in their mid-30s. But, I think the Warriors brand and cachet is going to win a championship because all I know about basketball is the Warriors. There's pressure to not be that guy. And so I think there's pressure not to look at what's happened and go, I mean, they got a shot, man. They got a shot. And don't let them get more of a shot. Don't let them get rolling with this. This thing, if this thing goes, if it keeps going, it's going to take on a life of its own. Or am I getting ahead of myself? I feel like you guys have a difference. Let's go. Sam, don't call me Sam or call me both. Start you off and then Andy.
Obviously, I agree with you. I mean, I think the thing that I've really come around on the NBA in the last year is I have to let go of what I've known in the past, which is you need to win 60 games. You need to establish. Yeah. We're in a new era. They all suck. None of these teams are particularly impressive. Like they're all like it is a league of good. There is no dynastic great team. If you follow what I'm saying, and
the NBA, it's a good. I mean, what we're going through.
Honestly, it feels like MLB, where you know what, the team who has enough guys who kind of have the balls to perform in those moments, have proven they've done it in the past, get hot at the right time. That might be enough. You know how like in baseball, every other year, a wild card who won 89 games will win a World Series, and you're like, oh, what a dumb sport. The Dodgers spend all year winning 105 games just to lose in the first round, that sort of thing. That's kind of how it feels like the NBA's going right now. And, I think the Warriors have just as good a chance as anyone. Like, I refuse to hear about how, like, the OKC Thunder are the greatest team of all time. Like, I watched the Warriors through dynasty years. I've watched the Chicago Bulls. They're not that team. They're not one of those teams. They looked incredibly skittish in the playoffs last year. I see nothing that makes me think that they're going to be much better than that. They may win it all, but they are not best point differential of all time. No, they're taking advantage of the fact that no one tries in the regular season anymore. That's their numbers are cooked by the fact that they're a very good team who never misses players and could just roll through wins in the regular season. But it's not predictive the way that those advanced metrics were predictive 15 years ago is basically the only point I'm getting at.
One thing before we shift to Andy, I fear the Thunder, but I do think there's almost a school of analysis that acts as though you can spend your point differential in the playoffs, that you show up, you've accrued all this point differential.
We are now over up 2-0 in the series because we have a plus 12. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And we can spend this, and it gives us this advantage. And somebody turns an ankle, something goes wrong. The team's maybe optimized for the regular season. Sometimes it works out and point differentials validated. The Boston Celtics winning the finals, but there is this school of thought as though we can just easily translate it. And I'm with Sam. I don't think that's the case. Andy, what's your take?
I agree with both of you. I'm gonna go the other way around. I actually think the Warriors are underrated in the way that we're talking about versus like talking about the other teams. Because I think when I'm gonna go back to what Ethan said in the beginning, where it's like a lot of people don't want to go all in on the Warriors yet. But my argument would be, why not? How many times have we seen the Warriors do this? How many times do we have to see Steph do this? By the way, it turns out Steph is actually not washed. Turns out that if he's not going against the defense that's throwing 3 or 4 guys at him, Steph is going to be great, as he's always been. Same thing with Draymond, right? Like all of a sudden he's awesome defensively again because Jimmy's back. Yeah. All of a sudden Jimmy and Draymond are just like Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw from 2-3 years ago good. On defense. That's my thing, right? Like we've seen it from this team. I feel like someone like LeBron gets a lot of benefit of the doubt where it's like, well, the Lakers are title which I believe they are. Like they're title contenders now because we've seen it from LeBron.
Yeah, you fear them. I've felt your palpable fear with them.
I do. I was talking to my buddy. Same thing. I really do. I think those are the 2 best teams in the West, if not the NBA. And I just think there's hey, Jimmy's old. He's 35. He can't shoot. He's getting paid $120 million across the next 2 years. Like a lot of these, it's like, go watch the games and go watch what's happened with the Warriors the last 10 years. Anytime you put enough smart guys around Steph and Draymond, they're probably going to beat a lot of teams. Like right now, if you had them in a series against Houston, what would they be favored to win the series by? Like in a 6-3 matchup or 5-4 matchup? Right?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the opposing coaches, which opposing coaches wants to play the Warriors in a series? I mean, they haven't made it yet. They're long road to go. Things can happen. It was funny, by the way, hearing Bob Myers. Here's how I knew the Warriors were for real, and I like Bob. I like Bob Myers.
Oh boy.
No, it's not. It's
friend of the show.
During that broadcast, I started to feel better about the Warriors. And I don't know if you guys were listening to that broadcast. Maybe you guys just love Bob Fitzgerald, so you'd never even bother with the ESPN broadcast.
That is correct.
He, at a certain point, he started hemming and hawing about the Warriors in a way that felt a little bit defensive, in a way that felt a little bit like, well, this is going to happen maybe without me, and Joe's going to get a title. He's like, look, a lot could happen. A lot could happen. Guy gets injured. Who's to say Dallas, when they get Anthony Davis back, won't beat this team? Who's to say, hey, he didn't say anything crazy. But at the same time, it just felt like there was this sense of, maybe they've done it again. And in theory, Bob wouldn't care about a thing like that, but in practice, everybody kind of wants to be the reason, and that's what I got through my TV screen when I was watching, and I kind of felt like, I don't know if it's here we go again, but it's looking like it. I mean, look, athletes age weird now. I don't think I'm rationalizing when I say that. I don't know how long a prime is supposed to go. When I was younger, somebody would hit their early 30s and then the wheels would fall off. Sometimes somebody would hang on for longer and be productive, like a Reggie Miller, because of the shooting. But I'm looking at Steph's advanced numbers right now. It looks like 2022 season when they won the finals, where we probably were asking some of those same questions when he was 33.
We were.
And given that he usually has a surge towards the end, he could finish up looking a lot like the 2022 season. Draymond looks like Draymond now, except he misses every layup, which isn't nothing. That's a frustration right now. But he looks like the same guy. And Jimmy Butler looks like Jimmy Butler. All these people talking about age and everything else, I just wonder if you somehow could have them watch the film of Jimmy Butler now versus Jimmy Butler in the playoffs when he's Jimmy Buckets and he's dropping 56 points, and tell me what the difference is, because I don't see it. I understand that Jimmy Butler is a scorpion in the frog proposition. But yes, Sam?
I was going to say, he looks like he's in phenomenal shape. Like nothing. Yeah. He looks the exact same as he looked in 2020 physically, and in 21 and 23. And, to your point, I kind of agree with you on that too, where it's like when I was a kid, some of these guys would turn like 32, 33, and you'd be like, why does Patrick Ewing look 50? What is going on here? And like at this point, like, miracles of modern science, whatever you want to call it, training methods, bazillion dollars, and making sure they're not, like, it doesn't look that way. They look good. Like the age shows over 82 when they have those nights where they just look tired. But if they get to the playoffs without like being broken, it doesn't matter. Too many days off.
Yeah. Well, they have a rabbit to chase now. The Greyhounds of the track didn't have a rabbit to chase, and they'd gone through a lot of races, and they were sort of trotting around, and people thought that they couldn't run. Now there's a rabbit to chase. It looks a lot different. Andy, you're saying?
Yeah, it's funny. All of a sudden, Steph's knee tendonitis, who he's had pretty much the whole season's gone. All of a sudden, his hand where he was taped up said he sprained a finger. I haven't seen tape on his hand in weeks. Pretty interesting, Steph. Pretty interesting. Perfectly fine.